Hello, welcome back to Beauty Bee. I'm Iris, and I want a Valentine's Day palette. Now, that shouldn't be too big of a problem. I mean, there are approximately 40 million of them currently available on the market. However, I'm on an eyeshadow no buy, which complicates things somewhat. So we're making one today out of shades that I already own, and I think that's all the introduction we need. Let's just get into it. Now, looking at things like the Natasha Denona Love palette, which I think is sort of the quintessential Valentine's Day color scheme. You've got pink, purple, red. I think I'm aiming for a mix that's probably about around 50% pink, sort of 25% reds and purples to deepen things up, and then maybe around 25% neutral. I'm also thinking somewhere between 10 and 15 shades, though when I say 10 to 15, that probably means 10, 12, 15, or potentially 14, because 11 or 13 pan palettes are obnoxious. So there are a few colors that I'm pretty sure will need to be in this palette. The first comes from my Profusion Glam palette, and it is this shade Recharge. It is this pinky rose gold. Just gonna swatch at least the pinks on this arm. I don't know how much room I'll need for this, but there is that. This is a very pretty, like, grown-up take on rose gold, I feel. I think it's lovely. When I needed to take a new LinkedIn picture, this was the first shade I reached for. Next up, I've really been enjoying using this Bare Minerals Gen Nude blush in Call My Blush on my eye to blend out a crease shade. I find that that pink really serves as a nice transition shade for me. Let's get that swatched as well. I mean, it's a blush, so it doesn't swatch all that well, but actually let me build it up so you can actually see it. I can see it perfectly well in person, but I think my lighting is messing with it just a little bit. There you are. Now you can see it. I think you can tell that that really does blend nicely into my skin tone. So this will definitely need to be in there to blend out any pink looks that I should make this palette. Which, speaking of, I will almost certainly be posting 2 looks 1 palette using whatever I end up coming up with sometime in the next couple days. I'm aiming for Sunday, but who knows if that'll actually happen. When I do, I will edit the description box or add a comment linking to that video. Next up, going off of the pink, I want to add Tickle, which is the shade in the middle. This is a Benefit highlighter. And it is stunning. Let me really build it up so you can see. It is pink, but it has this beautiful golden pink reflect to it. You can't see that. It is really pretty in real life, though. Should I just repeat that 37 times across this video until you get the point? There we are. Well, you'll be able to see it better in the videos, I'm sure. I will also do my absolute best to get a really good picture of my arm swatches to stick at the end of the video. Let's switch gears for a second and work on the purples. The first one that I definitely want is this really dark purple. This is from my NYX Ultimate Utopia palette, and this is going to be the darkest shade in the palette, I believe. There's that. It's quite a cool toned purple. It looks a little bit patchy towards the end there, but it's one of those shades that I use in such small doses. You know, I'll just use this on my outer corner or as liner. I haven't noticed the patchiness on the eye. Next up, let's head to this Wet n Wild 32 pan palettes. And there are actually again, a few shades in here that I want to pull as well. But I think to start, at least, we're going to go with this shimmery purple, which is a pretty similar depth to the matte purple from the NYX palette, but I mean, first of all, it's shimmery and it's also a bit cooler. This one's quite a bit more blue-based, I think you can tell, than this, though this definitely has some blue to it as well. I'm also going to add this berry shade. This is a matte, and the texture on this actually feels kind of awful. Can you hear that? It sounds like I'm rubbing my finger against sandpaper. It doesn't feel uncomfortable on the eye or anything, but it's just, you know, not a buttery smooth formula, which I think that description is disgusting, but oh well. There it is. It's looking very red in comparison to everything else I have on, but this is definitely berry in person. However, because we don't want red to feel left out, I have this red that is in my Wet n Wild Rosé in the Air palette. It is the equivalent of some shade in Modern Renaissance, I'm sure. I don't know the name of the various Modern Renaissance shades off the top of my head, but it is red with quite a bit of brown to it. And I think it would be interesting to take a pink look in a little bit of a different direction. I was actually aiming for those to be parallel swatches. That is sad. How can I be bad at swatching something? I don't know, but I've managed it somehow. Okay, so let's start building out the neutral a little bit. Now I know that I want a couple of really glittery shades in my palette, so we're definitely going to go with this first. This is the e.l.f. Glitter in Flirty Birdie. It's a rose gold, and it is beautiful. Swatch that. I should probably swatch it on the neutrals and red side, shouldn't I? I mean, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? I think that would be perfect to go with pinks and really almost anything. It's just a gorgeous shade. I've never worn it that full on before. Maybe I should sometime. That's really pretty. So we're at 8 shades thus far, and I think I want a couple of additional neutrals along with maybe another purple, and to build out the pinks a bit more. So I think we might be aiming a little bit more at the 14 or 15 shades rather than 10 to 12, but as always, we can adjust as this goes. I think we could use something really light. I do use a really light shade almost every day to highlight my brow bone. So I think for that, I'm going to go into that NYX Ultimate Utopia palette again, and this really, really light pink. It almost looks white, but there is a little bit of pink to it, and I think it actually helps it be an even better, more brightening shade, at least on my skin tone. And yeah, you won't be able to see that in the swatch because I can barely see it in person. What can I say? It is a really good color match for me, and this is a great shade for me to erase mistakes when I'm a little bit overzealous with my eyeshadow. There's also this pink in the same palette, though I think that this might be a little too similar. You know, there's that compared to the Bare Minerals. I feel like I could use this almost more as a crease color, and then this to blend it out, so maybe they should both be in here. I mean, I have a makeup wipe handy. I can take away shades as needed. I have the power. I do think that adds something. Yeah, definitely. I also think I would like to try this Wet n Wild Don't Flutter Yourself. I think that it, again, might kind of be too similar to Tickle, so I'll swatch it to the side. Does this bring anything different enough? Wow, that was a really bad swatch. There you can see it. There is Tickle and there is Don't Flutter Yourself. I think those are actually a little too similar to both be included. I do think that they give a little bit of a different effect on the cheeks. However, full on the eyes, I don't think they would be all that different, and I don't want to waste space on something that's not going to add value for me. I do want to add this really light sort of rosy purple shade. This is again from the Wet n Wild Rosé in the Air palette, and I love this shade. I think that it makes this really easy everyday crease color, and I think again you're going to see that it's just sort of an indeterminate color, and I think it works really well for a lot of purposes for exactly that reason. I feel like this can almost look brown. It's what I'm wearing as blush today. I've built this up to look quite purple on my eye. It's one of those colors that can really wear a lot of different hats depending on what you surround it with and how you use it, and I think that would be very helpful to have in my little palette. Now, another shimmery neutral I would really like to add is this Taupe from the NYX Ash palette. This is my favorite neutral eyeshadow. It is so easy, so everyday. I wear this probably every other week just as a one shadow look. It's just, I love that shade. It looks so boring in a swatch, but that's why it works so well, is because it is so boring that it can just play off of anything. I really like this palette just by itself, actually. There are two pinks in this Wet n Wild palette that I have not swatched out yet. They're this kind of medium pink with a little bit of a sheen to it, and then this lighter pink that has quite a bit more shine. I think I'm going to swatch out both of them, though I doubt that I will keep both of them. I just want to see how they play with everything else I've got going on. So I did a remarkably bad job of swatching those the first time, but here they are. And again, my camera is washing things out just a little bit, but they just aren't different enough from what I already have. This shade looks too much like Tickle. This shade looks too much like the NYX shade that's swatched immediately above it. I think they can both go. And really the shine on this shade in particular just isn't showing up at all. It looks practically identical to the matte shade from the NYX palette. So I'm currently at 12 shades, and I think I do want to build it out to 14. So I think my next shade is going to be the Sparkly Silver, because I feel like this ends up in all of my build your own palettes, which the playlist will be linked somewhere. It's just such a pretty shade. It's such a nice topper too. I feel like it really does just play off of almost anything quite nicely. Let me see if I can't get a good angle so that you can see that in the sunlight. It's right there. I will do I'll do my best to get a really good picture at the end, but I think that will make a really pretty topper for really any look that I could do with this palette. And then to round things out, number 14 is going to be Regime, which is this shimmery purple from my Profusion palette. Give that a nice swatch, and well, wrong arm, but it'll be fine. And there it is. So I'm at 14 shades. I think I want to add one more just because, and I think it'll be a mixture of these two shades, this pink and this white. Who knows if you could see what I was trying to show you when I held that up, but you know, I try. I really do. And it just makes, oh, that's actually a pretty good version of it. Just makes an almost skin tone, nice little pink sheen. So I think that is my palette. I think that comes to 15 shades, if I'm not mistaken. Looking at what's in front of me, I am really inspired. I'm excited to get to play with this the next few days. And I think I can do some damage. I think I can make some interesting looks out of the shades in front of me. This is going to be fun. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed and that you'll consider liking and subscribing if you did. I'm looking forward to next time already. Bye!